Aloha everyone, this is Leimomi Keliikuli from my Leimomi TV Mastering Your Superpower Interview Series, and I'm here with beautiful Tepsii, my best bestie. I love her to death. And we are going to talk about 6 to 7 figure copywriting. I love her copywriting skills. She's so amazing at what she does. So why don't we welcome her? And so Tepsii, why don't you tell us more about who you are, what you do? How did you really become a master genius at what you do?
So, hi everybody. Thank you, Leimomi, for having me. This is a long time coming. We've been friends almost 2 years now. So, coming here, bringing our friendship and our professionalism, professional lives together is so exciting for me. I have been a lifelong person who can express themselves. I was given this gift. We all are going out into the world searching for what is my gift? What is my purpose? What am I good at? And for most of us, that thing is not something you have to study. It's not something that you have to acquire. It's not something that you have to learn. A lot of us get the gift inherently. And so when I met Leimomi, when I met you, you told me, well, Tepsii, your gift is self-expression, divine self-expression. And it's so, I was like, oh, duh. It comes naturally and easy to me. And, being able to write persuasively and share my message, which, my message is really to empower women, to empower the world really to learn about entrepreneurship and how to sell their stuff, whether it's programs, courses, services, whatever it is that you're selling. I want to help you do that by finding the right words to talk to the right people in order to take them through a sequence of self-coaching. As they're reading, they're coaching themselves into saying a yes to you. So this is a gift that is God-given. It's something that I was given and then have nurtured over time. I started out in 2015 as a copywriter helping online entrepreneurs, and I have since then helped people have 5, 6, and even 7-figure product and program launches. So apparently I'm, the gift that I was given, I'm really good at. So if you want to have success in your career, lean into your gifts. Listen to when Leimomi talks about each of your gifts and your blueprints, because when you try to step outside of your gifts, is when you mess yourself up. And we've been there before. Leimomi has helped me recenter myself and get back into my gifts many times. I wish I didn't have to admit that, but that is the truth. Even when you have a lot of success, you can still wobble. And this is why we have coaches. This is why we have support. And that is what I do when I help people. I write on their behalf so that they can get their words out and do what they do best. And meanwhile, I'm doing what I do best in my copywriting and coaching role.
Yeah, you're really amazing at just like bringing out those words. Like I know when we have conversations and we just have like conversations after conversations and you're like, do you mean this? And do you mean that? I'm like, oh, right. It's so amazing that you can just like put it in 1 or 2 sentences and I have like 7 sentences long. That doesn't always make sense. So when I say, you're really good at your gift, being that it's all about expression and communication, everybody has that very particular thing that really lights them up and that's really easy, but we don't realize like it's beautiful. It's so important to use it in your everyday life, like because we always think, okay, use it professionally, like you're doing copywriting now, right? But it doesn't always let you up if you're not aware of it in your personal life too, right? I'm sure like your kids are like that too. They're asking all kinds of questions and mom, do you mean this or that? And you're like, yeah. So I think it's really important to really understand how your gifts all work together. And definitely when you can see like, oh, what I'm really specifically in here to do according to that specific gift, it makes a big, big difference. So when you were growing up as a child, like what lit you up? Like how does that play into what you've become today?
So I have always been a creator. I have always liked to make something out of nothing and to decorate and, make dolls for my clothes. I always thought I would, when people used to ask me, what do you want to be? I wanted to be an artist and a geologist. I love rocks. I've always loved rocks and I wanted to study them further And I also wanted to do art. Art always made me feel alive, through the school week or the school day. I always felt grounded or centered the moment I could step into the art class and really express myself using color and texture and different mediums. And so that, and my writing skills, I think it really, like, they complement each other. When you are able to write, you can turn something, in nothing, I'm sorry, you can turn nothing into something that can be potentially worth millions of dollars, right? So I go from a blank screen, use my imagination, and I actually channel words. I don't actually write words. It's totally different, but because this is the gift, it doesn't get written. It comes to me through God, I believe. And so a lot of the time when I'm done writing, I don't even remember what I wrote, because the words just flow. And then at the end of the flow, I look at it and I go like, I wrote that. So it's quite interesting how my process works. And it's so, for me, in line with, what I liked when I was growing up. And also what I learned later in life was that my gift is also something that my family has. And my grandfather was a writer. He has published novels. His brother, so many of my uncles and aunts are great writers and orators and people who are very good at self-expression. And so a lot of the time when people are like looking for, what are they good at? Look what your family is good at, because a lot of the time it comes, it's handed down to you through your DNA and your lineage. On the other hand, there are some gifts that you are given, like I'm talking about, that like I can channel and just flow words. On the other hand, you can also learn. I can teach people how to write effectively and write well. It's not rocket science. It's not some kind of weird coded secret. It's something that anybody can access, understand a formula. If you can understand that A plus B equals C, you can write really good copy yourself. And that's one thing I always want to remind people and empower them with, to know that they can learn, even if it isn't the gift that you inherently got. You can still learn how to be very good at it. And it's something that you have to learn how to be good at, because otherwise you can't communicate with the world. You can't communicate your value. It's not just about writing. It's also about being able to speak your ideas and opinions. It's also about being able to sell as entrepreneurs. And so all of those things come together with copywriting. And that's why I created my signature course. It's called The Right to Profit. And in The Right to Profit, I take people through the steps they need in order to write really compelling and excellent, persuasive copy, which is, the writing for ads, marketing, promotion. Be able to write your ads, write your emails, write your website and your sales pages easily and effectively. And I created that course because people always thought like I was so lucky or I was so special to be able to, have this gift. And that's not necessarily the truth.
Yeah, I remember you telling me like, I'm a good writer. And I was like, yeah, right. I suck at writing. But the more like I allowed myself to like follow that template or whatever that you helped me create, and I was like, oh, it's actually not that bad. Why does it feel so difficult, right? But I think it's important to understand what your gift is mainly about, but there is parts of yourself that you can bring out in a different way, but you're just not aware of how beautiful it is because you're like resisting it, right? So the more you resist it, the harder it gets for you to actually bring it out of you. And copywriting to me is like way more than just, writing good copy. Like it's really about expression, about everything that you want to talk about. It can be about any subject, right? It doesn't necessarily have to look like really awesome sales pages, It's telling stories, it's expressing what you feel like, your opinions about. And I think this is why you're really good at bringing it out of people, because you get to the core of what they're really trying to say. And when you bring out that core, that their message comes out, their unique message, that behind the story, and it just like gets people engaged, but through words, which is so beautiful. Some people can move people using their body and twist their body in all kinds of different ways, right?
Yeah.
But they can also twist people in ways with words or visualizations and stuff. So it's really amazing.
I love how you put that. I love how you put that, twisting, how you can access and reach people's souls really through, twisting your body. You can do the same thing with words. And I always like the first thing I want people to connect to is with their soul. If you are not connected to your soul, you won't be able to find the words. You won't be able to connect to what you are supposed to be sharing and, being out in the world. And a lot of it starts with when you are, you get into alignment on a soul level, in terms of your energy and in terms of your joy, your happiness, your enthusiasm about life. It starts there. So many of us are trying to create from a place of I have to, or from a place of wanting to make money only, or from a place of thinking, well, I'm comparing myself to so and so I have to create for that reason. But when you create from the inside, from your soul, from your spirit, and you bring that forth, and you are excited, and you're happy, and you are filled with enthusiasm for how you're going to touch the people that you're communicating with, and that you're sharing your message with, that is when you really end up being on fire. That saying about being on fire, being lit up, being in the flow, it all comes from that, that sense of purpose and that joy inside you. If you can access that, you can write even more powerfully than you would otherwise.
Mm-hmm. I love how you explained that, how alignment is also related to how you express yourself, because it's true. So true. Like they're so related, right? So tell us a little bit more, like maybe a vulnerable story about your life and business. Like, what did it feel like to be misaligned? Like, how did you get back into soul alignment? Like, what were the things you had to go through that made you realize, like, oh, this is alignment. This is what I'm meant to be doing.
So misalignment can show up in so many different ways that we don't even realize, that you don't even know that that's a misalignment. It's when you choose the wrong mentor or coach to work with. You start following them and their modalities and their ideas and their theories, and it's like, whoa, these actually are not things that I feel in alignment with or in integrity with or whatever. Sometimes you don't realize it until it's like way late that you're doing something that doesn't really necessarily light you up. So that can be one way, by being influenced by the people around you, especially the people that you look up to, the people that mentor you or help you. It can show up in saying yes to the wrong, to the type of client that is not for you, really, or the type of partner that is not for you, the type of friend that is not for you, and devoting a lot of time and energy and feeling sucked or drained of your life force, right, when you are interacting with and working with or dealing with that type of person. In my business life, it's whenever I've gone into misalignment, it's when I'm looking around my space going like, so and so is making a ton of money doing such and such, I should do that too, right? And not necessarily copying them, but like different things that I know don't really necessarily work for me. For example, my audience loves when I do webinars, go live, they want to see my face. Then I see so-and-so does really great with email marketing only. They're just sending emails and making money. So then I think, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to try it because it's doing great for them. Let me do what they're doing, knowing very well that what I'm doing is not broken and going and doing that other thing anyway. So those are a couple of different ways that I've gotten misaligned. And then the result of misalignment is, getting sick continuously or for really long periods of time and not understanding why. It's fighting, or not even if it's fighting with your partner, but a lot of disagreements and misunderstandings and things happening that just don't make any sense. It's clients who are definite yes, all of a sudden showing up, telling you I'm going to pay tomorrow. It's going to, we're going to get started, and then disappearing into thin air. It's, your audience that's used to saying yes and buying when you show up, all of a sudden not showing up, not buying, not doing anything. So the impact of misalignment, it's like action A snowballs into B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z, with lots of ways that misalignment is, impacting you. And coming back from misalignment, I've actually gone through your program, Leimomi, as you know, and coming back from misalignment, step one is really getting clear on like where you are right now. Like, let's do an audit on where we are, what we're dealing with. What are the nitty gritty hard truths of this situation that we're in. A lot of us try to avoid this situation. And I see it when I write copy. Part of what I write is about the pain that people feel when they're misaligned, the pain that they go through when they realize that they're not doing the things that they were meant to do in the world. And so that pain then can translate into them, saying, wait a minute, I need to do something different. So once we're clear, we realize that we're in pain, we start to think about the actions we could take. One big thing that you introduced to me, Leimomi, is a song called Bow to You by Lakshmi, I think. And that song, really, if I just turn it on, I like whatever music that is positive and affirming, and that really touches your soul, it brings me back into who I am. And then all the other steps of your program that you go through, discovering what your gifts are, discovering how to actually express them. All of these things actually go hand in hand and with what I do as a copywriter and as a coach, from like the discovery process to unearthing, what's going on, to getting clear in terms of what's going on, to figuring out what the solution is, and then to going in to implementing and sharing it. Those are the exact steps that I take when I write an email, or when I give a speech that I've written, or when I write, speeches or videos or things for other people. All of those steps, you might think that Leimomi, if you're watching and you're kind of new to it, you might think, oh, all the stuff she talks about is really woo-woo and it's like separate from the real world, but it's actually grounded in reality. It's actually grounded in real business tools and strategies. And for me, it's really close to my copywriting process.
Yeah, that's amazing how expression and, alignment is so intertwined. What you just described to me is like perfectly what people go through all the time, but they don't realize it's misalignment, or they don't realize that they've lost their voice. They lost their soul's voice. They don't know what was going on, like why that person's not listening to me, or I can't communicate what I want to say, right? It all has to do with not being in alignment to your soul. And so when you get back into your superpower, right? That specific energy of your soul. It's just like, oh, it was easy. What was going on before that? Like, I don't remember what happened, right? When you're just channeling and you're just being present and you're happy and you're in that flow. But that flow can happen all the time if you allow yourself to align to it.
And well, I always like to let people know too that like being misaligned doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Like having stuff happening in your life that's going on doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's an indicator of like, you actually want more. You were actually made for more. Here's some contrast to show you, hey, this isn't what you really want. Getting back on track, shifting back into the flow, and having those tools to know how to get back on track when you fall off. Because I think the process of being human can often, misalign us without us even trying. Things happen to us and around us all the time. And, my belief is that those things are meant to grow us, but at the same time, they can be hard. For example, I've dealt with a ton of grief in my life overall, but last year in 2017, I dealt with 7 deaths of people I really, really loved. That meant 7 opportunities to completely crumble and rebuild myself in different ways. And the only way to rebuild yourself is to get back on that aligned path, to get back to the flow, doing things that you love, connecting with what you are really good at, and being of service in the world in that way, while also being gentle on yourself, while also, taking the time to give yourself a nice bath or go for a massage or whatever it is, some of this self-care stuff. But don't beat yourself up. I know, Leimomi, you're such a gentle teacher. I've been in your coaching when people say, oh, I feel so bad about myself. I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And that's not going to actually get you anywhere, right? What's going to get you somewhere is having compassion for yourself. And, in terms of copywriting, if you want to have really compelling copy, you also have to, make sure you have compassion for your audience, for the people who's reading, or your emails, or the people who you're speaking to, because the speech is written in a copywriting sequence. Have compassion for them. Let them know it's okay to be where you are. You didn't know any better, or, you just were stuck, and now here's a way out. and making sure that your copy always has that element is so important. People go either completely into negative, like something wrong with you, you need to fix it, you need to get over yourself, all this stuff with their copy, or they go the extreme end of like going all, dreamy McDreamy and imagine if everything was all smooth and better and perfect. And they're trying to get people into like the future tense without having compassion for where they are right now.
Right, right. Can you walk us through like maybe a process of what you do, like to get, like the 6-7 figure copywriting? Like, what do you normally do? Like, I think people are really interested in understanding, like, how does that work?
So the first step that I take is that when I get together with a client, I'm listening to them. What are they saying? A potential client, what are they saying about themselves and what they do in the world? How enthusiastic and passionate and excited are they about sharing this thing or this message or this product or program with, the people who need it the most? If they're not enthusiastic and they're not excited, we're going nowhere. So step one, if you want to have, be able to sell, get excited, get enthusiastic. And most times I don't want to work with those people because it's probably going nowhere. The second thing that I really want people to have is a well thought out marketing and promotion plan. So marketing is getting the word out about who you are in the world. And promotion is all about saying, hey, this thing that I'm doing is for sale now, right? This thing, this program, this course, whatever is for sale. I want you to go buy it. Here's the page. Here's the button to buy it now. So marketing and promotion, they go hand in hand, but they're two separate activities. I want to make sure people understand that and that they're willing to do what it takes to market themselves so people know them, and they can get, traffic to their website and they can get traffic to their videos. They can get traffic or they can send out emails to the people who are the ones who come through on that traffic. And then I also want to make sure that they then know how to ask for sales in their emails or in their webinars or whatever. Even if you're starting out, you can create yourself a pretty robust marketing and promotion plan. I am seat of my pants kind of life. And so I'm the kind of person who can create from thin air and go. But even with knowing that I can create from thin air and go, I still have an idea of like what that looks like. What do I need to do first? And what do I need to do last in order to sell? So don't shy away from the words marketing and promotion plan. So many people do. And they think like, well, I have an online business now. I can just go with my passion or whatever. And no, my friend, do not just go with your passion, go with a plan as well. And so those are like the prerequisites to selling well, selling 6 and 7 figures in terms of your products and your programs. The next part is that I go through a discovery kind of process with my clients where we dig deep into the needs, the desires, the concerns, the wishes, the hopes, the dreams, the unfulfilled potential of their client or their customer that they're targeting with their program or their product. So I like to get really familiar and really intimately acquainted with that potential client or customer so that we can really sell to them. So you really need to understand their pain and you really need to understand their dreams and where they want to go with their life and as it results to the thing you're selling. So for example, with Leimomi, she's selling spiritual coaching and really mindset stuff to people who feel stuck right now, or it's people who are in alignment, in flow, and don't want to go back to whatever it felt like to be stuck, right? So it's one of two really, two people kind of on the same spectrum. And then if we were to write to them, we now think about what are the symptoms of being stuck? And those are the things I mentioned before, disagreements, feeling sick, lack of energy, all of that stuff. And then where do they want to go? They want to go to feeling clear and feeling enthusiastic and feeling like they're in the flow, that things come easily to them when they put in, a level of effort that is appropriate. They're not overworking themselves, they're not underworking themselves, but they're putting in a level of work that's appropriate. So we discover those dreams and those pain together. I do that with my client in a session. And then from there, I go ahead and I start writing. And while I'm writing, I also have my client, or before I start writing, actually, have my client fill out a questionnaire with the nitty gritty, the details. So I focus on energy, the emotions, the impacts, psychologically, emotionally, uh, spiritually, energetically, all that. That's what I really focus on with my writing. But I also need to know um, the details of whatever they're selling. So I have them fill out a questionnaire to talk about those details, like when are they launching, how much is it, what's included, all those things. But nobody's really buying for that reason. They are not buying because of the price. Usually they're not buying because um, of how long the program is. They're not buying because of your fancy membership, area that you've got. They're buying on the soul level. They're buying on an emotional level. And so that's where I go to access really powerful words that I can write out in terms of my copy. So that is kind of my process. I start working once I've kind of done the discovery process. And at that point, I also do some research with the potential clients. I spy on them online. Sometimes I'll get on a call with someone who fits that profile, and I'll talk to them just to hear how they express things in their words. Their words are more powerful than my words because they're the one going through this thing. And so then from there, I start writing. But like I said before, it's like really a flow, a channel. So I prepare myself for the flow by going through all the steps that I mentioned before. Understanding the program, understanding the client, all that stuff. When I start writing, it just comes through me. But for the typical person, they're going to start writing and think about what is this program? What are the core benefits or the unique value that thing adds to the world? And they can summarize that in one sentence. From there, they're going to dig into some of those pain points that I mentioned. They're also going to talk about the dream that the client has. They'll introduce themselves and say, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm here to help you. Here are my credentials. I like to call it a power intro, where you powerfully present yourself and share what you have to offer in terms of your education, your expertise, your certificates and skills. And then from there, that's when you ask for for the sale, and you start to share what the offer is, what it's about, who it's for, who it's not for, what are the benefits, like what are the end results and the transformation someone will have at the end of it. And the last thing that I like to do is share some frequently asked questions that for me serve as objection busters. So if somebody says, if I'm trying to sell something and someone says, yeah, but is it worth it for all this money? I should have an answer for that. Or if they say, yeah, but I'm so busy, will this fit into my schedule? I should have an answer for that, right? So you think about the frequently asked questions. Don't waste the space in terms of the frequently asked questions, answering things that are already answered on that page. You want to think about why people would potentially say no to you and use the space on your page to express those things and answer those questions. Because even if people don't realize they have the question consciously, they have it subconsciously. And all of our buying, all of our purchasing decisions are happening in the subconscious brain. It's happening without us, it's kind of on autopilot, without us really thinking too logically about it. We are thinking emotionally about it. And so we come with our psychological and our emotional energy to that purchase. So we want to make sure we appeal to that psyche and to those emotions in order to coach people into saying yes. We're coaching them. We're not manipulating them. We're not selling things that people don't need in the world. We are adding value and being of service. And so that is what copywriting for me is really all about.
That's an amazing process. Like, I was just thinking step 1, step 2, step 3. And Tepsii is really good at breaking it down. Like, okay, we do this, we do this, we do this. And it really reminds me of what's it like when you get in alignment to your soul too. Like, there's a whole process, of what it takes to get towards the end part, which is the flow. So I think like you take them from like, I don't know what the hell I want to say and how the hell I'm going to sell this program. What the heck is it for? To like breaking little pieces, and you're like, oh, that is an amazing program. Oh my God. Like, that sales page was so awesome. Like, every time when I read your sales pages, I'm like, wow, how do you get that out of a person? Like, to bring it out of them, right? It's
The same way that
amazing.
you coach your clients into alignment, I ask the same questions of my clients that you probably ask of your clients. And so it's a very similar process. Copywriting is really coaching, it's really soul level. I start my sessions with stretching and deep breathing and like getting back to the center. Whenever my clients get stuck, when I ask them a question, I ask them to close their eyes and recenter, breathe, and then bring the answer out from that space and that energy. So we are doing the same thing, my sister. We're just using different, mediums, modalities to get to the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. So how do you define success? Like what kind of pain did you go through and endure that to where you're now? Like how do you define that?
So I used to define success like the way that most of the world does. It's monetary, it's possessions, it's materials, it's influence, it's um, keeping up with the Joneses next door. That was sort of my idea of success growing up, and the messages that were shared to me. Starting this business and having to be really vulnerable in the world and share my spirit, share my heart. I'm the kind of person who wears their heart on their sleeve. So in my, sales process and in my connection and messaging process, that's where I'm sort of, that's where I'm going. I go to those deep, vulnerable places with my message. So I've learned through this path that entrepreneurship has brought me on that it's not really about the money. I like making money. It's fun to make money. I like buying my kids nice things. I like for them to go to the private schools they go to. I like living in this nice house, right? However, more than all of that, I want to feel like my spirit is connected to all the other spirits in the world. And I want to feel like I'm here fulfilling the purpose, my God-given purpose with what I do. I also want to feel like I am giving back and impacting the communities that really need me. So for me, that's women and children and people, minorities, people of color, and using my gift and my voice to really shed light on some of the suffering in the world or some of what's actually going on. In the law of attraction community, a lot of the time we end up focusing so much on being high vibe and so much on success that we forget like we are citizens of the earth, and the spiritual leaders who walked the earth before us, the ones that we revere like Muhammad and Jesus and all of these leaders who were also prophets. They went into communities, they saw real people, they touched lepers, they touched orphans, they touched people who the rest of society thought was dirty, right? And so for me, it's been a journey of coming back to touching the people that really need me, right? And to use whatever impact I have and whatever resources I have to go back inward on a soul level, because I believe that my soul is really here to teach people and to touch people and inspire people into being their best self. And I think the way that I have chosen to do that is through using what I do professionally to have a social justice impact, and to really reach people on a broader scale than our little tiny coaching and course creating bubble of a world that we're in. I don't remember the exact question that you asked, but I hope I answered it.
I just asked how do you define success? But
Oh,
that's
yeah.
awesome. Like that's an awesome explanation. So our time is like went by really fast. Oh my god.
It always does.
We can talk for hours about all of this stuff. So any last words that you have for my audience? Anything else you want to
I
share?
think my last words are for the people who are listening is to not be afraid of who you really are. Don't be afraid of all of the wonderful, amazing parts of who you are, and don't be afraid of the parts of you that you're looking to improve and make quote unquote better on this journey around the world. I want people to step into their fullest expression of themselves. doing the things that light them up, remembering that you are a global citizen and that you are a neighbor, right? So there's people to care for on this side of your house, your body, and there's people to care for on this side. And the moment that you step out of your body and start being of service, helping people, that's the moment that you have the greatest impact and can create the biggest level of success for yourself. So I think my message is really be who you are, allow yourself to connect and touch other people, and use your business as a tool. My business is a tool for me to do global service work. And even though I'm not a nonprofit, even though I'm not super official, I can still do what I do and touch people in really tremendous ways. So never discount the impact or the importance of the work that you're doing. I had a moment of crisis or a moment of self-doubt where I thought the work I do isn't important because I'm not in a refugee camp in Syria helping people, And what I came to realize is, we all have our own path. For me, Syria doesn't make much sense right now. I've got 3 girls. They're young. I need to stay here, stay grounded for this moment and what I'm doing with raising them. But that my work and my voice can still be used as a tool really effectively. So me teaching other people how to persuade and how to write can be a way for them to create a living for themselves, to lift themselves out of poverty, or to lift themselves out of struggle and to start being prosperous and abundant. And I believe that everything that the people who are watching do as coaches and mentors and guides and teachers and healers, what you're doing is very much the same. You're helping people lift themselves up so that they can help their neighbor. And I think that when we have these moments of existential questions and crisis, can come back and really humble ourselves and remember, you are, one person, you can impact other people, and what you do is really wonderful. Even if you think, well, I'm just a Facebook ad strategist. Why is that important? Why should I keep doing that? I had a friend who said that to me, and I said, because if it wasn't for a Facebook ad, I would never have changed my life. If it wasn't for a Facebook ad, I would still be working on a military base, helping a war effort that I didn't necessarily believe in, and miserable and away from my home. My business has allowed me to travel across the world, move my family to South Africa, where I'm originally from, and create this life. Without my business, without having seen that ad initially, I would still be stuck at step 1. I think, who knows? Maybe I would have found something else along the way, but I know that I was divinely guided on the day that I saw that ad. So yes, you're just a Facebook ad strategist in your words, but more than that, you are doing what I believe is God's work. It's part of God's work to help people lift themselves up out of the pain and the struggle of whatever situation that they're in unhappily and move them into a place where they are closer to their truth. So those are my last words. I know they're kind of long words.
You have lots of words to share. It's awesome.
Don't make fun of me.
It's true though. You have amazing words that comes through you. I'm like, wow. I'm just in awe every time when you talk. So where can we reach you? Do you have a website or something, a free gift for us that you want to share?
Yeah. So if you are looking to learn how to express yourself from your truth, from the core of who you are, I have an amazing self-guided challenge that you can go through. It's a self-guided 5-day course that takes you from figuring out where you've been stuck, understanding what your vulnerabilities are, figuring out what's my story, why does my story matter? How can I tell my story in a cohesive way that will impact people? And then from once you figure that out, you can learn how to actually write your story in a way that is not just persuasive, but also profitable. That's my goal for everybody that goes through my stuff. And so it's a 5-day free thing. You can find it at Tepsii.com/visible. That's my website, Tepsii.com/visible. And you just opt in and you will get delivered this 5-day. Each day you'll get worksheets and an email to kind of guide you, and also a video. and he'd go through step by step. I've had people go through this and start businesses from zero. I've had people go through this and finally decide to be visible, and the business that they have starts being a profitable one. They start asking for sales. My hashtag for the entire challenge is called ask for the damn sale, because so many of us are not asking consistently for sales. And then we sit here going, I have no clients, I have no customers, I'm making no money. And a lot of that comes from the fear of asking. So I guide you very gently using different tools and healing to actually get to the other side. I teach EFT, and we do some forgiveness stuff in there, and on the other side of that is the impact and the profit that you want to make. So go check that out, Tepsii.com/visible. Tepsii.com/visible.
Thank you. That sounds amazing. I think everybody should go jump on it. It sounds like, again, it takes you through that amazing process to being visible and profitable. It's so awesome. But thank you for taking the time to, for us to have this beautiful chat and sharing your amazing gifts to the world. I know that you are planning on doing more speaking, and, you're already on PR. She's like everywhere. Every time when I see, she's like in another magazine or something else going on. So, so thank you everybody for listening in. We're going to have more of these amazing stories about mastering your superpower. And so next week we'll have a few more of these other amazing entrepreneurs who are multiple six figures or seven-figure owners. So I'm excited about this year to give the opportunity for them to tell their story and how they got to where they are now, because it's really amazing stories of how they got to where they want to be in their life. So thank you, everybody. So we'll talk to you guys all very soon. Have a beautiful day. Aloha.
Bye.
Bye.